Hi everyone, this is Anastasia again. So I will just ask you again to put your information into the chat. We will be doing a draw this week. Fine, that's good, Steve. Sounds good. Okay, so we'll be doing a draw this week and a giveaway. So if you want to please provide your information in the chat, so your name, business name, email, and website. If you don't want to share it with everyone, just send it to me privately. And if you have any questions during the webinar, just please feel free to put it in the chat and we'll ask the questions at the end. So Brennan should be ready to start speaking in the next couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Anastasia. All right, welcome everyone. Good to see some familiar faces and also new ones. Let us know where you're joining from, where you're calling in from. If it's East Coast of Canada, West Coast, maybe even in the States. We have a lot of viewers that have been joining us from Eastern Seaboard in the U.S. So it's always good to see you joining in, and also in the Toronto area. Our goal for this webinar, as always, for all of the webinars, is to bring a ton of value to you, to help businesses through these challenging times. Really, this is what we do as a company day in and day out. So I'll ask you to keep yourself muted to avoid distracting the other attendees. Take some notes. I'm not going to be sharing these slides or the recordings with anyone. And take some notes, like I mentioned, and as Anastasia mentioned, leave your questions in the chat, and let us know if you'd like to book a meeting with us to hear a little bit more. So as you heard from my colleague Anastasia, she's one of our employees at BreezeMaxWeb. She creates meaningful connections and relationships. My name is Brennan Gowler, and I will be your host today, co-hosting with Anastasia. So the topic today is Phase 2, the new normal. The topic tomorrow, Phase 2, the new normal, how businesses must operate in upcoming years. What do you need to plan for so you don't have all your eggs in one basket and don't get caught off guard again? A little bit about us. So we've been around since 2005. We started off in North America and Europe. We're all across Canada, on both sides of the border, even into the States as well, US. I've been with the company since 2017. And as a company and personally, we've seen a lot of changes in the marketing landscape. And certainly, we're going through some more turbulent times right now, some very unprecedented times. And, things are always changing online, especially with Google. So, keep tabs with us. We'll keep you posted with what's happening and how that could affect your website, your business, your advertising, all that. Normally, we meet clients in person at our offices all across Canada. Our head office is in Toronto, out east in Eastern Canada. I'm based in Vancouver here with Anastasia and also Steve, who will be on the call shortly here. And, we're hosting these webinars because providing a lot of value, but it's also giving us an opportunity to tap into a market that we haven't touched or that we haven't talked to before. So it's helping us step up more than ever before. When all this happened, most of us were caught off guard with it, right? And so as a Google partner, we have a responsibility within the community, and we don't take that lightly. And when it happened, we act very quickly to reset our strategy and help communities and help businesses all across Canada. And we did that with these tools. You'll see them on the screen here. On the left, there's a live chat. On the right, there's a banner. And these are just, keeping in touch with your clients, letting them know what's happening, how you've changed your business. What are you doing to keep in touch with your clients, and just let them know that maybe you're open and you're reopening now, as that's the topic for today. So it just allows you to reach out to them a lot easier. And, especially since, like I mentioned, we're in this transition phase right now from closed to reopening. So you want to be in front of their eyes, just letting them know what's happening as consumers get back to their old spending habits. So we'll come back to these a little bit later. The topic today is getting your business back to business, reopening and making up for the losses. with our guest speaker joining us once again, Steve Cvjetkovich. All right, so the time has come, right? most of the world, especially North America, here is reopening slowly, and the economy is getting back up and running slowly. You know, I think of it like we're all kind of like caged animals that can't wait to start spending again and interacting in our communities. I'm sure you would agree with that. And so most of us, especially small businesses, could not have imagined, you know, that we would be closing up, right, a few months ago. And while this isn't over yet, hopefully as a business, whatever business you have, whether you're a gym, accountant, lawyer, whatever type of business, hopefully you were able to weather the storm. And we were giving some tips in the last month or so with how to pivot your business quickly, how to add a new revenue stream within your business. And so hopefully you've taken steps in that direction before, but if not, this is definitely the time to continue doing that and to look at that. There's different phases of this reopening plan that the governments have announced. And the first phase includes lifting restrictions for these types of businesses. And you'll see them on my screen there. So that the businesses they're talking about right now reopening as of this week, actually, in our part of the world, are restaurants, cafes, pubs, you know, the hair salons, personal services, childcare and education industries, dentists, physiotherapists, RMTs, chiropractors, counselors as well, golf courses as well, car dealerships, landscaping and garden centers, and marinas as people are preparing, you know, to get their boats back out on the water. So these are just a few of the businesses that are starting to reopen, and more will be announced later. What you want to do is, you know, we advise to check with your local government, obviously, to see if your business can reopen, right? Don't just open up the doors unnecessarily. Be mindful of the spread of the virus and be mindful of that. Be mindful of your customers as well. You may have to follow new sanitization protocols. There's been some announcement as to what that includes, you know, and really ensuring specific safety measures, such as physical distancing and new limited capacity rules as well. Restaurants are discussing about how they're only going to be open for up to 50% inside the restaurants, just to avoid too much interaction, too much close, to keep people in close proximity, or to avoid people and to keep, yeah. So most businesses will have a huge demand, right? But we'll have to cap the bookings, right, to the 50% capacity rule. So this is important because, you know, as much as there is a huge demand, don't assume that your business will be booming from day one, right? And Steve's going to talk a little bit about the strategies for what you can implement in your business. There was a survey actually of nearly 10,000 small business owners across Canada, and they found that around 1 in 3, so 1 in 3 actually felt that they won't survive longer than a month under the current economic conditions, right? This is not good, right? So not to be all doom and gloom, but it's important to take this into account and set yourself up for success, right? You don't want to fall under that category, right? There's also, I was reading a little bit about a small studio gyms. There's, you know, many of these, maybe you go to a few of them yourself. Some of them were able to survive and pivot earlier on, and they were able to offer, you know, virtual classes online. But a lot of them are feeling the pressure now, and they're really looking at it like, if I have to wait much longer to open, it's going to cripple my business. So you know, do what you can, right, with the certain with the new rules. But when you reopen, be mindful of the virus and take necessary precautions as things get back to normal here. So I just kind of give you a layout of the certain businesses that are opening right now, and the ones that are, you know, the ones that are not in that list, they're going to be very soon reopening again. And then just kind of some of the precautions that you can take. And I'm now going to introduce Steve Cvjetkovich. So Steve has been providing large enterprise clients and local businesses with successful marketing solutions for over a decade now. And he serves as our Senior VP of Sales for BreezeMaxWeb. So I'll introduce Steve into the call. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Brennan. Thanks for the lovely introduction there. Again, welcome everybody back to the webinar. I see some new faces as well, which is always wonderful, and some returning faces. A little shout out to Jimmy C. It's always good to have Jim on the call as well. Haven't seen you in a while, my friend. But yeah, so just so you guys know my personal background, I've been in marketing for about a little over 2 decades now, and I've been personally working with BreezeMaxWeb directly for over 10 years. I just had my 10-year anniversary. which makes me probably the single oldest human being in the world of marketing, and it definitely makes me the longest person to hold down a job at one place in the marketing field. And to Brennan's point earlier, working this long in an industry, I've had the opportunity to see it grow and change. All the new developments online. I remember when websites were not a priority for business owners. I've seen social media grow and take a foothold in the world of marketing. And of course, our number one agenda to push are Google products. And I've seen those change all over as well. COVID-19 has not only forced everyone to change how they view their business, but also how they view marketing their business. So without further ado, unless of course you all would like some extra ado, but with no further ado, let's get into the slides. So the very first slide that Brennan's prepared here for me, I just want to talk about how things are very, very, very different now. And the best example that I can use about how businesses are different is exactly how they approach their marketing. So, for us, when we're approaching new prospects, new businesses that are interested in marketing, they've always sort of fallen into a couple of different categories. And the main category was the type of business that required a customer to find them online. So for example, if I have a leaky toilet, I don't, walk down to the plumbing district in my local town and, window shop all the different plumbers for the best deal on a leaky toilet. No. It is an urgent situation where that toilet is overflowing. I need to get onto Google. I need to find the first plumber that answers my call that'll get there the fastest. We would, as a marketing team, we could add a ton of value to an emergency service like that, something that had to be searched on the internet. That's where we shine. The type of business that not that we would avoid it completely, but a type of business category that we were less effective with were what we call the shopping mall businesses. These are businesses that their marketing dollar is actually spent on the rent that they paid to have good walking traffic walk by them. And if you all think to yourselves, there's some things that you look up on Google when you need it, and there are other businesses that you go down to the shopping mall district and you kind of window shop with them. You don't look them up online as a general rule. 90% of those businesses get their business just by opening their doors and having good signage in a good, busy part of town. So a lot of the business owners, when the local government here announced, phase 2, some of the businesses reopening that, Brennan just pointed out, the dental offices, the restaurants, they just, with a big grin on their face, they just flipped the open sign on their door over so people could see they were open. But you see this little slide here, that business owner who flipped their open sign open, who expected a flood of people to walk in, has got his head in his hands because nobody is walking in. So regardless of whether the government says things are open or not right now, the bottom line is that people are not walking in these busy, high traffic areas the way they used to be. So expecting your business, any business that expects to go back to business the way it was 10 weeks ago, they're going to be really, really disappointed. They're going to have a bad time. Let's flip to the next slide, Brennan. Alrighty. Whereas the other set of business owners that we talk to, and we fall, BreezeMaxWeb falls into this category as well. When the pandemic started hitting the news, even prior to the lockdown, a lot of business owners like ourselves, we became really proactive with how we were going to adjust ourselves, knowing the lockdown was coming. So the best example two examples I'll use. There's a yoga chain of studios here. They got 27 locations. They're called Oxygen Yoga. They literally put the sign on the door, said they're closed, and they just expected things to get back to business. I've personally spoken with over half of the franchise owners of Oxygen Yoga. They will not be reopening their doors ever again. They are officially out of business. But here in Vancouver, an independent yoga studio named Eastman Yoga, they had already been playing with the idea of doing virtual yoga classes. In their brick and mortar yoga studio, they could have a maximum capacity of 22 people in the room at a time. With the lockdown, that was actually shut down. But since they had already taken steps doing virtual yoga from home classes, where they had one instructor in the studio on camera, and all of their yoga students could join from the comfort and safety of their own home, their virtual yoga sessions now hold upwards of 150 people. So their business is doing much, much better than it ever did in their brick and mortar. Now that things are opening up again, they're not going to close down their studio. The studio is beautiful. They've put a lot of love into that studio and a lot of money into renovating that studio. So now they're going to be doing a combination of in-studio yoga classes, but also maintaining their new revenue stream of the virtual yoga classes. So a business like this who's taken the right steps and used the pandemic as an opportunity to grow their business now has a second tier of revenue coming in. They are now preparing and insulating themselves for anything that could happen in the future. And, you know, a lot of people are expecting there to be a second phase of the lockdown if the virus does get a lot of hand during this reopening period. So these businesses like East Van Yoga or Volcano Sushi is a sushi restaurant that moved almost all of their staff power into online delivery, not just with one online delivery service like Uber Eats. They use 6 different online delivery services now. Their business has grown significantly over their dine-in business in the last 8 weeks. So they are going to maintain this practice, maintain this stream of revenue in their business, a whole new thing they never would have had to do before. These are the businesses that are going to do very, very well, and you're going to see them as household names moving forward into the new world that we go into, the new normal that we go into. And last but not least, Brendan, if you could go to the third slide. I hope a lot of you aren't thinking that you've missed an opportunity to open up a new stream of your business, and so that you can mitigate income loss for when things cannot be normal. But that opportunity is still here. This phase 2, COVID-19 phase 2, certain businesses are reopening. Brennan listed them all there. And even those businesses that are allowed to reopen now are still going to have a lot of restrictions and things that they're prohibited from doing. So they're still actively pursuing new opportunities and how they can generate more revenue. Your business may not be ready for the public yet. So if you're in the events business, if you're doing non-elective surgeries, if you're doing any type of personal interaction that the government decided your business is not allowed to be open yet, you still have that opportunity to develop and grow your business by adding a new tier to it. This is still a huge opportunity for people. A lot of your competitors have closed their doors permanently, and there's ground to be taken there. A lot of your competitors have been trying to wait this out. Maybe they will open up again, but flipping over that open sign will not bring in business. This is not a field of dreams. Just because you say open does not mean they will come. You do have to be very proactive in getting your message out there. You do have to be very proactive in letting people know that you're open for business and that you can keep your customers safe. I think that's the most valuable thing that I can recommend to anyone on this call and any client that I talk to right now. So the reason why we have these webinars is I hope that all of you listening are not only thinking for yourselves and saying, what can I do to, make this crisis an opportunity. Don't feel that you have to be a genius, that you're an island unto yourself. You do have resources to tap into. Those resources definitely include Anastasia Shade, Brennan Galler, myself, and everyone on the BreezeMax team. We're literally working with thousands of clients right now from all different types of businesses all over the world. We can definitely share those best practices with you. We do one-on-one calls where we do a deep dive into your business so that we can kind of offer advice, guidance, and at very least will be a second set of eyeballs to get feedback on your ideas and on your plans for your business. Just to put some real numbers in front of you guys, over the last 8 weeks, the staff of BreezeMaxWeb have been in contact and reached out to over 30,000 businesses to help them during phase 1 of COVID-19 during the lockdown. Even ongoing now, we're following up to make sure that phase 2, that these businesses are prepared for their reopening so they do not get shut down by the government for breaking rules, and that when they do reopen, they don't take another hit, another loss. Brendan pointed out that, say, restaurants that are only allowed 50% capacity, well, a lot of restaurants that only have 50% capacity, they're still losing money. They lose more money than if they just stayed shut over that time because their margins are very thin. So, we've been able to help strategize with our restaurant clients to make sure that even at 50% capacity, that they're still winning, that they're still staying in business and doing very, very well. So, don't be afraid to ask for advice. Don't be afraid to ask for some help. That's 100% what we're here for. As Brendan mentioned, we have a whole ton of different COVID-19 ad support products, and we will be rolling out new COVID-19 phase 2 ad support services just for everyone to reopen safely. And I like to keep it short and sweet. So those 3 points are the points I had to make today. Is there any questions? I'd love to hear them.
There is some questions, Steve. So we have Steve Gregory says, if people have a website built by other third parties, what can BreezeMaxWeb do, assuming it is a WordPress-based site? Do people have to start from scratch, or can you play a doctor?
That's a great question, Steve. I have a lot of the non-clients that we've worked with that help do that we've done the public service ad products for them have asked the same thing. Can we add a COVID-19 strategy onto my site to let my customers know I'm in business? And the answer is yes. It doesn't matter if it's a WordPress site. It does not matter if it's a Joomla or Square or a million other sites. The answer is yes. Once we log into that site, we can easily install that COVID-19 strategy for them, as well as a few other products like the live chat. It does not have to be a WordPress site. It helps, but it does not have to be a WordPress site. We can definitely, quote unquote, MacGyver a website to make sure that we can make it work properly for them. Thanks for asking, by the way. I hope I clarified that. Cool. Brent, thank you, Steve. Brent, while we're waiting for any other questions that may come on board,
Sure.
why don't you tell everybody on the call a little bit about what they can expect tomorrow on the webinar?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Steve. So tomorrow we have phase 2, the new normal, how businesses must operate in upcoming years. So today you heard a little bit about what's happening now and the different businesses that are allowed to reopen and the ones that are, set to open in the next little while here, depending on where you're located. But what about the future, right? What does the future hold? 6 months, 2 years, 3 years down the line? And I also just wanted to summarize too a little bit about Steve's point is that if you fall under the category of the businesses that I mentioned earlier, definitely reach out to us. If you don't fall in that category and there's and you're not and you don't find yourself in that list, reach out to us as well, and we'll give you kind of some we'll keep you posted as to what's happening and what we can help you with regarding advertising and getting new people in the door. And really, don't fall into the trap and don't expect that, like Steve said, business going back to the way it was, right? It certainly has changed. You are hearing sometimes in the news about a few businesses here and there that are succeeding, that are booming as soon as they open the door, for example, hair salons, but don't fall in that trap to think that you're going to be like that as well. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to say that be proactive, like we've been mentioning today. So that's the topic tomorrow. I mentioned that. And then again, here are the free tools and next actions for your business if you'd like. We mentioned all these earlier, the free COVID-19 business support tools, live chat, banner, also a free $150 Google ad credit to get you started on Google advertising, and free website assessment and competitor analysis, which is very, very helpful.
And one thing I'm going to add in there, Brennan, for some of the tools and little things that BreezeMaxWeb is doing to help out as much as we can right now. Yesterday, I mentioned on the call that if any of you have businesses and you follow us on Instagram at BreezeMaxWeb, follow us. We'll give you a follow back, and as well, we'll be tagging and adding to our stories under the support local hashtag. So I was really, really happy to see that a lot of the people on the call yesterday not only did that, but actually tagged a lot of their friends in the posts as well, and friendly businesses that are. So I've actually reposted about 70 different stories so far. So thank you so much. We are trying to support local businesses here. And if you follow us on Instagram, tag us in a post, we'll absolutely give you a follow back and make sure we share you and our stories to our network under the support local hashtag. So we're, I don't want to say we're all in this together. I'm here in Port Moody, British Columbia, Brennan Gallers in Burnaby. Our head office in Toronto. We have people from Australia, New York, Chicago, all over the world that we're helping out right now. So although we are far apart, meetings like this webinar and these products will bring us together and will help each other out. And we're here to make sure that we support each and every one of you as much as we can. And I appreciate your support on these webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. And if we have anybody else who has any questions, please just feel free to unmute yourself and ask the questions. Meanwhile, if Brennan, do you have anything to add?
No, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, so I'm just finalizing a couple appointments right now that I've been booking. So I'll leave the chat open for the next minute or so. Finalizing my appointments. If anybody has anything else to say, just please add it in the chat. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody, to join our webinar. Okay, so Keenan, I've already booked you for Friday, so we're good. And Rena, if you'd like to reach out to me or just unmute yourself. Thanks, Keenan. Have a great evening. Rena, are you still there? All right, Brennan, I guess we could close the chat. I don't know if Rena is there. She's not replying to me, so just go ahead and close it.